Well, Bongiwe and Blaine live to us. Thank you very much indeed as we continue to bring you live coverage of the funeral service of the IFP founder Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Those live pictures right there. Thousands of mourners have gathered this morning. Some 30 minutes ago, his body left the KwaPhindangene residence for that special official funeral category 1. You see those visuals also on your screen as the cortege makes its way. That category of funeral, of course, accorded to persons of extraordinary credentials, specifically designated by the President of the Republic. President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the eulogy there today. Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, also the traditional Prime Minister of the Zulu nation, as well as a member of Parliament. As you saw there, my colleagues Blaine Herman as well as Bongiwe Zwane are at the stadium. SABC News reporters have been giving you live coverage since this morning, stationed at the stadium and elsewhere as we give you this coverage of the funeral of the late Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi. If you've just joined us, I'm Criselda Lewis. Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi being laid to rest today as thousands of mourners have gathered at that stadium. You see there the President of the Republic who will deliver the eulogy, President Cyril Ramaphosa, together with the Secretary General of the ANC, that is Fikile Mbalula. Just some of the dignitaries that have gathered at that stadium, and certainly thousands of people would descend there. Yesterday we saw the remains of Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi arrive at his home KwaPhindangene, that is in Ulundi in KwaZulu-Natal, and you saw hundreds of people that had been lining the streets of that town to watch the body being transported from the mortuary to his residence. Now that cortege has already made its way from the residence, and of course a church service had been conducted yesterday. Specific rituals as well in line with the Zulu culture were also had basically been performed yesterday. IFP officials, dignitaries as well as community members had been singing very much of what you're seeing there today, a celebration of the political life of this man, also the person that they had come to know in that area. Incredibly respected, as you would see by the attendance at that stadium there this morning. So we're going to be crisscrossing in between the studio here in Johannesburg, as well as to my colleague Bongiwe Zwane and Blaine Herman, who are at the stadium as well. Let's go live there once again as the cortege makes its way from the KwaPhindangene residence in Ulundi. Blaine and Bongiwe. All right, as that cortege makes its way, we'll go back to Blaine and Bongiwe very shortly. But of course, in terms of royal heritage, and that is what we have seen over the past couple of days since the announcement of the passing of the late IFP founder, President Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi. He's a family man. Those are some of the sentiments that had been shared. And while his parents had been in a polygamous marriage, Inkosi Buthelezi was also a staunch Christian and only married one wife. That was Princess Irene Mzila Buthelezi. And the nature of his family, the way he stood in terms of family is something that we've heard from the children as well, who spoke about, his staunch values, what he believed in. He was unflinching in what he believed in. And of course, his parents, Chief Matole Buthelezi, as well as Princess Makoko Katingizulu, the sister of King Solomon Katingizulu. And of course, that then would mean a direct descendant of King Shaka, the founder of the Zulu nation, through his mother. His great-grandfather on the father's side, of course, was Chief Mnyamana Buthelezi, the Prime Minister to King Chwaya. Just a bit of history in terms of why you are seeing the pictures that you are on the screen here today. Thousands of mourners at that stadium there who have gone to pay their condolences to Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi. And you'll see a lot in terms of the regalia also, IFP supporters coming out in their numbers. You would recall, of course, at some point, some notable events perhaps that we could bring to you as you see those mourners in celebration of the life of certainly and unarguably a towering political figure in South Africa. Certainly that cannot be denied. And one of the aspects, that had been spoken about was his passion for education. At some point, I think it was between 1979 and 2001, he was Chancellor of the University of Zululand. And those are some of the aspects. If you look at the political life, when the liberation movements were unbanned, he turned Inkatha into a political party, the IFP, and was elected as its first president. It seems like the program, just hearing some of what is taking place. Let's take a look. Also on our screen there, as the cortege makes its way, also you have dignitaries who are also arriving there, in particular from the IFP. Just going to try and stretch my member of the National Assembly of South Africa, Naren Singh, is one of the individuals who's arriving there. I think, former President Thabo Mbeki also arriving at the stadium at this particular time. Remember, it was indicated amongst the former heads of state that were going to attend the funeral today included former President Thabo Mbeki, who's just arrived at this moment. We're also expecting former President Jacob Zuma to also be in attendance, former President Kgalema Motlanthe to also be in attendance at the funeral there this morning. So what we're going to see is many of those who have also made that commitment to pay their last respects, expected to arrive there today. In case you've joined us since very early this morning, live coverage of the funeral service of Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Let's go live now to the stadium where we join my colleague Blaine Herman as well as Bongiwe Zwane. To the what would ultimately, of course, then be the final resting day for Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi. He was the chief of the Buthelezi clan from 1953, and although this was only recognized by government, to see there former President Jacob Zuma also in attendance there, UDM leader Bantu Holomisa also amongst the dignitaries there. You also have former President Kgalema Motlanthe, who's also in attendance. Just at the back there, the leadership of the EFF Julius Malema seated next to Floyd Chivambu, as well as other members of the economic freedom fighters. So various political parties. This is also what we have seen over the past couple of days. Tributes pouring in from different quarters